Hello, and welcome to The Piano Men. And I've got a very special guest with me here in the studio tonight. Pleased to welcome keyboardist and musician Matt Twaddle. Since moving to Nashville, Matt has performed with and for a wide variety of successful and award-winning artists, including Fred Durst, Jeff Coffin, Sofia Goodman, Liz Kelley, the Downtown Band, and many others. Additionally, Matt has released 3 solo albums of original music under his name. In addition to his performing, composition / arranging and recording experience, Matt also has 7+ years of teaching experience in both private instruction and small group settings. His passion for teaching and sharing his love for music runs deep, and he aims to inspire his students and others around him to keep the tradition alive and thriving for future generations. Matt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, it's my pleasure. So, talk to me about your childhood and where you're from.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in southern Pennsylvania, just over the Mason-Dixon line, called Glen Rock. It's about 20 minutes south of York, Pennsylvania, about an hour from Baltimore, Maryland. But was born into a very musical family. My mom is a music teacher. She teaches piano, flute, and voice. And I mean, she's really the whole reason I got into studying music in the first place. As soon as I was old enough to walk, pretty much, she was like, "You're taking piano lessons," pretty much. So I started at age 4. And my dad also is a musician. He plays drums. He works more in the production side of things. He ran a live sound company for a long time, 25+ years. Had his own recording studio for a long time in the 90s, and worked with a lot of like very successful, nationally known artists and performers of all types. So I was always around music. I feel like I didn't really fully like go all in until I was in 4th grade when my dad bought me a guitar, and that was the first time I really felt inspired to want to pursue music, because I had seen like Back to the Future, Marty McFly, playing Johnny B. Good at the end of the movie. That was like, I burnt that VHS out. My dad had the whole like box set of the trilogy on VHS, and I wore it out just watching it over and over again, and thought he was so cool playing guitar. And as soon as I got my hands on a real guitar, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to do this, which is funny because I started on piano and now I'm primarily a keys player. But that was the first time I felt like really excited about music, but I was always around it. I mean, students of my mom's just coming in and out of the house all the time. So I heard, lessons going on, and my dad had a massive music collection, was always playing records around the house. So really couldn't escape it. And my grandfather is also a musician. He was a baritone saxophonist and upright bassist, really into like big band jazz, like Stan Kenton and Gordon Goodwin, and I think Mel Lewis is another one. All that stuff. So yeah, that was kind of my early upbringing, I suppose, with music.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide array of knowledge. I mean, you got all this music around you, learning so many people, and being able to absorb a lot of different styles of music. I think that's very fascinating, because you don't really find a lot of people that are not only around a lot of people that do various genres, but also have a massive collection of music of all genres, and being exposed to that kind of music at an early age.
Right.
All kinds of music. It's very rare that happens. Usually, when I've talked to people in the past, sometimes they'll gravitate towards one over another, but you seem like you got the whole thing.
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. I mean, everything from like classic rock. I think that was really like what sold me, because I was really into like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eddie Van Halen and all those guys, like when I was really first getting into it. The first band I ever like really was into was the Beatles in like third grade. I had this like compilation disc of all the like their greatest hits, and yeah, I mean, I like that was the first time I heard music and was like, this is really good. I don't want to like tap my foot or just like bob my head or just, I don't know, just like get lost in a trance listening to it, you know. And yeah, I don't know, that I mean that stuck with my just fascination with music, you know, when I eventually started to venture out into my own and discover music outside of whatever my parents had showed me, you know.
You know, I think that the Beatles were just so influential that they really like
songwriting.
Not only the songwriting, but the fact that they were able to take from so many different genres of music.
Yes,
Indian and Latin American.
Yeah, George Harrison studied with Ravi Shankar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how he learned how to play sitar, which is crazy. Nora Jones is his daughter too, which is fun fact.
Yeah,
not everybody knows that, I guess. You know. But,
no. But the Beatles were just so legendary, not only with their songwriting and musicianship, but the fact that they were able to be so innovative and creative and come up with different sounds. You hear it in many artists today, you know. What was your like personal story of being, you know, amazed by the sounds of the Beatles?
You know, I think, I mean, obviously, like George Harrison's guitar playing, I think that definitely really stuck out to me, and his like fascination with you know, different cultures and experimenting with different tuning systems. I mean, especially learning the sitar. I mean, that's like a whole different ballpark, you know, outside of what we know in Western music, you know. But I think what really like moved me, like it honestly brought me to tears, still does to this day, is like George Martin's work on all that, like his production and his work with strings. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like Sgt. Pepper's, I mean, like the string work on that album is just fantastic, you know. She's Leaving Home, that song in particular, every time I listen to it, it just gives me the chills. So yeah, it's just like their songwriting, their arranging, you know, just all of that. It's just, it's amazing. Yeah. And it really, fascinated me as a young, you know, musician, I guess, like just really starting to get into music, I guess, at that point. Yeah, it's just beautiful music, you know.
So I guess it's fair to say that the Beatles compilation CD, that was your first record you bought or album you bought?
Well, my dad burned it on CD, so I didn't buy it myself. I was in like third grade at the time, but it was like it was the first record that I had and like really spent time with, I guess. And then later on I got more into, you know, Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and all those different bands. Robin Trower, he was another big influence. And then Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock, I mean, those guys, those are my dudes, you know. They just, I don't know, just like the wide variety of stuff that they covered throughout their careers, and just their like fascination with synthesizers and just like, you know, stepping outside of like the conventional box, you know, and just trying different things, just going for stuff. I mean, that's really where like I think a lot of some of the most amazing music that I've encountered comes from, you know. It's just like that willingness to step outside of your comfort zone and try some new things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, I think there's a lot of beautiful art and music that can come out of that, you know.
Definitely. I think for me, one of the most interesting periods of music that I think was incredible about like experimentation was the 80s. Being able to come up with different sounds, whether it was synthesizers or drum machines.
Right.
And right. You mentioned Herbie Hancock. I think it was his song Rocket.
Yep.
that was just unbelievable how he was able to take that melody and those sounds and just fuse it all together, because it's amazing to see what can kind of come out of being creative and innovative with different sounds and different loops.
Especially knowing where he came from too. I mean, he studied a lot of classical music when he was younger. I read his autobiography a few years ago, and he won like a piano concerto competition when he was 11, which is crazy. And then he went on to play with Miles Davis and his second quintet in like the 60s with Wayne Shorter and Ron Carter, Tony Williams, all those guys. So just like, seeing him as more of like a pianist going more towards like, I guess what would eventually become like electronic music, really fascinating. Yeah. And it's something that always like inspired me to like want to branch out and like listen to other genres and just like experiment, with different instruments and sounds. And I mean, there's just so much stuff out there, so much stuff you can do with it too.
Now, you were 4 years old when you started taking lessons. Did you know on your own you wanted to do it, or did your mom want to?
No, I mean, it was kind of, I mean, at that time in my life, I mean, I was so young, I really didn't really know who I was or what I wanted to do, right. I guess at that point. So it was more my mom was pushing me to do it, and she saw that I had kind of a natural affinity for it. So she, she pushed me to do it. I'm glad she did, for sure. But there was a point when I think I was in second grade. I had a friend that was taking piano lessons with her, and he wanted to quit, and I don't know. I mean, I was pretty young, so I hadn't really like found my affinity for it quite yet, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I want to quit too. And so I asked my mom. I was like, hey mom, like I don't think I want to take piano lessons anymore. And she was like, no, that's not going to happen. You're too naturally gifted, and I'm not going to let you do that. So, I mean, honestly, I owe a lot to my mom. I wouldn't have continued probably if she had said yes. So it kind of like, it found me later on. I mean, like the whole story with getting a guitar, and then I feel like with piano, like I really started to become into the piano when I started learning, more like complex, like classical pieces, like Beethoven and Mozart, and studying some of that. And at the time, I didn't really appreciate it the way I do now as an adult and a more seasoned musician, I suppose. But it was still cool because it showed me like, I guess what the instrument is capable of, all these different like ideas and ways of approaching the instrument. And then when I first heard jazz, and I was like, oh wait, you can make up your own stuff, and it can sound cool. I was like, I'm just gonna do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I got into jazz in like middle school. I joined jazz band, I just got really interested in like exploring improvisation and just like what's out there, I guess, studying the vocabulary. I mean, that's really the biggest thing, which I feel like I didn't really get deep into until college. That was when I did like most of my transcribing. But I just heard, like Herbie and Chick and Miles and all these like amazing musicians that came up through like the 50s, all the way to like, well, to present day. There's still so many musicians I hear like every day. I may have not heard of them before, but they blow me away. I mean, there's one guy in particular, like he goes by Elu. His name's Eric Lewis. Incredible pianist. I discovered him at the Newport Jazz Festival, and never had heard of this guy, didn't know who he was, and he he played like an hour of solo piano, and I was just starstruck. I was like, wow, this guy is like incredible, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, I feel like it's really easy to get wrapped up into like what you do musically, and when you can go out and experience like live music and just hear and see other musicians and how they approach the music. I don't know, it kind of like widens your perspective on on music and different possibilities. And
it definitely helps you grow, and I think also keeps you motivated to keep doing it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, motivation is a big thing. I mean, just seeing other people express themselves through music, I think that's what makes it really special is it's like, I guess music doesn't come from us. We're vessels that you know, express ourselves through the music, but just like how people can, you know, convey like their own experiences and personalities through the music, I think that's really beautiful and amazing, you know.
It is. So our first selection tonight is a song called Cloud Scars. Talk to me about this. And
yeah, so this song was part of a record I put out in 2022. It came from a songwriting workshop that I was doing throughout the pandemic with some of my friends. We would do it virtually, you know, because we all like lived all over the place. That was part of it, but also like the pandemic, you know, there wasn't as many opportunities to like go see live music or get together with musicians. So it was just a cool little outlet, and we would come up with these prompts, essentially, and we would use those prompts to write the songs. So the prompt I got, it was like a short poem about just like feeling sort of empty inside, but like longing for like something deeper, like deeper connection and just like belonging and finding your place in the world, essentially. So yeah, I just kind of had fun with it. You know, it was very bare bones. I mean, from a musical standpoint, everything just kind of came from scratch. It was just like random ideas that I was like coming up with, and it was like, oh, I like this idea, you know, and then I would like build and layer off of that, and then go into the next idea and try to find a way to like connect all of them. And then you know, I'm not really much of a lyricist, but tried to take a stab at that, you know, and just do more singing and try to incorporate that melodic and like personal element to the music. Because prior to that, I mean, most of the music I write is instrumental stuff. So yeah, it was a cool way of stepping outside of my comfort zone a little bit and trying some things.
We're gonna hear it right now. Here is Cloud Scars on the Piano Men. All right, we are back on the Piano Men, and we are talking with keyboardist and musician Matt Twaddle tonight about his illustrious career in the music industry. Now, you went to study jazz piano at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Talk to me about your time there and any fond memories you want to share.
Yeah, man. UMass is a really special place. You know, I always wanted to go to Berkeley. That was kind of like my dream school when I was in high school, and then did a college visit there, and you know, my parents and I realized we couldn't afford it. So I started looking into state schools, and I knew I wanted to go to school in Massachusetts. So I had a friend that was looking at UMass, she was a drummer. She was looking at the jazz program there. So I was like, oh, let me check them out. So I did some research, you know, went on the department website, and yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed with, you know, the faculty there and everything. And so I applied to the school, you know, and had to set up an audition. Went in, auditioned, and I auditioned for the director of jazz studies there, who ended up becoming my mentor while I was there, Jeff Holmes. And man, I mean, he was a fantastic mentor. I learned so much from him. he's got like the craziest ears of anybody I've ever met. You know, phenomenal piano player. He plays trumpet, and he's an incredible composer, arranger. You know, he like composed a lot of stuff we ended up playing like in the big band and stuff at my school, and we did some. We had like big band and combos. Those were like our two like main ensembles. And yeah, he would bring some of his stuff in, and we would play that as well, and that was great. Yeah, he was fantastic. I think I learned the most when he would just kick me off the piano and just be like, you're not playing it like this. You should play it this way, you know. And I would just like sit there and try to figure out, you know, pick apart like what he was doing and how he was approaching things. And yeah, I don't know, it was super valuable information. Just very knowledgeable guy, and you know, not afraid to like give me some tough love here and there. Be like, hey, you're not playing the way you should be. Like your time feel could be better here. Like, you know, add these extensions to your voicings, or you know, approach your lines like this, leave space, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that really like, yeah, really helped me like reevaluate how I was approaching the music and the instrument, you know, and just I guess like try to lock in more so and just think about more what I was doing as opposed to just like and aimlessly playing, you know. But yeah, he was one, and then the drum professor there and I became really close. I ended up I did a couple independent studies with him. One was like specifically on time, and we would do these like various exercises where I would clap like quarter note triplets or something while singing like the head of Solar, you know. And it was just really good, you know, kind of working on like my coordination, being able to like, you know, do like multiple rhythms and stuff at the same time, but also like lock into like you know, those specific rhythms and like change how I'm hearing the quarter note and stuff like that. And then I went on to take drum lessons with him for a little bit too, and yeah, he was just such an amazing educator and person. I mean, you know, he gave me a lot of valuable life advice, you know, as like a young person starting out, you know, and we would go out for coffee, and he would, you know, he gave me a lot of great financial advice too, honestly, you know. Just having those mentors, I think, you know, it's super valuable, you know.
What's the one piece of advice that he gave you that you still apply to today?
Oh man, I mean, you know, I guess like obviously you should take your work seriously, and I do. I do, but like just remembering that it's music at the end of the day, and you know, it's not always about playing the right notes necessarily. It's more just how you're able to like express yourself and bring other people along for the ride, you know, connect with other people. I think that's super valuable. Yeah, so I guess that was probably one of the bigger things that's definitely stuck with me, and just chasing after your dreams, not being afraid to take risks and try things and put yourself in different, maybe uncomfortable situations, and grow from that, you know, and just become a better musician and person through those experiences, you know.
Now, talk to me about your first few gigs. I'm sure you were nervous and scared at first, but any memories you want to share? Do you recall from that period of time?
Yeah, man, I feel like throughout college, I mean, like I had bands all throughout high school and stuff, like my own bands, and I led most of those, you know, and like I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, you know. It was just kind of like I knew I wanted to play music with other people and play the music that I like to play, you know, and yeah, just being, because like most of the musicians I was playing with at that time were, well, they were older than me, number one, and they were also just leagues better than me, like on a musical level. And I think that's extremely valuable because, surrounding yourself with people that lift you up, I think is super important. And they force you to rise to the occasion a little bit more, because otherwise you'll get eaten alive. It's like, big fit or a small fish in a big pond, I guess, that sort of analogy where sink or swim, you just gotta, buckle up and be ready for the ride and expect that it's going to be a little bumpy along the way, but you'll figure it out. It's just another obstacle to overcome, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning from that, I guess throughout college, I feel like I was definitely a little bit scared, especially like being approached by some older, more like established musicians and them wanting to, work together and stuff. And it's like, man, like, you want to work with me, like I feel like I'm not like at your level yet, and yeah, I guess that kind of put the pressure on me a little bit more. But I feel like, kind of going back to what I said earlier, just putting yourself in those like uncomfortable situations sometimes, I think is where you can really grow the most, and just allowing yourself to be vulnerable, number one, and just try things and really focus on, I think it really trained me to really focus on listening and trying to interact with the other musicians, and that's super important.
Yeah,
Any
definitely.
music you play. Yeah.
Definitely seems like it helped make you a better musician when you're able to work with people that, are older than you and have more experience.
Right.
And you take away that knowledge from that time and you implement it into other gigs, future gigs that you have, and you pass on that knowledge. And we'll talk a little bit later about your teaching other musicians. But you had some time you spent in the Army band. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of a long time coming. I suppose I had a mentor in high school who was a former Army bandsman, and he kind of introduced me to the idea and was like, yeah, like you could do this after school. You get all these great benefits, and you're still able to play music full time and make a living doing that. And so I thought about it, and I almost did it right after high school, but then I decided, to go to school first, and I'm glad I did, because just having that like experience under my belt, I think really helped me like come into the service with a better mindset and just like ready to kind of hit the ground running, just go for it. So yeah, I did my undergrad and graduated, and then I took a couple military band auditions. There was an opening in the Coast Guard band, actually, and I was fresh out of school at the time. I didn't think I was going to get it, and I didn't. They didn't end up choosing anybody. There was only 3 of us that auditioned for that spot. So it was good experience though, just being in front of like, a panel of like really, professional, like established musicians and just service members too. So I learned a lot from that, and I mean simultaneously I was also like applying to be in the Army band field. So I did an audition for them, and they accepted me, and I had to do like the whole like recruiting thing to join like the Army separate. So once I got like approved and everything, on the band side, I met up with a recruiter and went to MEPS and did all that stuff, that you swear in, do the whole thing and sign on the dotted line, all that stuff. And then I took the summer off from school, just because I wanted to hang with some friends and, do the last bit of gigs that I could before I left. And then I shipped out for basic training and was there for a couple months, and then went to the Army School of Music. After that, I had a great mentor there too. Miguel Davis is his name. Yeah, fantastic pianist. he forced me to like kind of dig more into like the classical stuff again, and focus more on my technique and stuff. And that was really valuable. I learned a lot from him. But yeah, from there I shipped out to my duty station and was stationed at, well, now it's Fort Moore. It used to be Fort Benning, but they changed a bunch of the post names a few years ago. I actually got to play for the post renaming ceremony at Fort Moore. So that was really cool. Got to play for like a couple like 4-star generals and stuff. Yeah, I was like, I'm the least important person here, but it's just cool to say that I did that stuff. And, I was just pushing myself to do things that I otherwise wouldn't have thought I was capable of doing, like
getting
physically
out of your comfort
and
zone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just, I don't know. I mean, just some of the people I met, like some of the most interesting and just like genuine people like I've ever met, I met while I was in the service, and some of my best friends to this day, so really grateful for that. And, I was able to go back and get my master's while I was in as well. So yeah, it just afforded me a lot of opportunities. And I feel like it honestly like made the transition moving to Nashville a lot easier too, because I had that like that experience and just all these like culmination of like resources and stuff and all of that, at my disposal. It just made the transition easier. I don't want to say it was easy, but it was easier in a way, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, did you moved here in 23, about 2 years ago?
Yeah, June of 2023. Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Now, you visited Nashville, I'm sure, a handful of times before you made the move.
Yep, I had a couple friends from undergrad that had moved here and had been active in the scene for a while. So yeah, I was like interested in the scene. I'd been doing my own research and just learning more about the city and the scene and whatnot. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start making trips up there, and it was like the pandemic was starting to calm down, stuff was starting to open back up again. I was like, all right, here's my window. So 2021, I think, was the first time I came to Nashville. And I went to this jam session called the East Side Jam. It's at Inglewood Lounge over in East Nashville. And that was one of my introductions to like the jam scene and just like interacting with other musicians that like work in the scene and stuff. And yeah, I mean I came back like a handful of times after that, and I was just like, yeah, this is the place, Yeah. Yeah.
Well, our next selection we're going to play here is called Lumberjack. Let's talk about this track.
Yeah, so this one is also off my 2022 album. I released that. I had this amazing saxophonist. Her name's Lucia Sarmiento. I had her record on this originally. She did a fantastic job. Really a pleasure to work with her. But I started a jazz fusion band with a few guys in town. Kent Crawley, amazing guitarist. Leland Nelson, amazing bass player, and Jake Robinson on the kit, amazing drummer. Initially it started. It's still a passion project, but now we're kind of like trying to get the gears rolling and make it more of a thing. Put our music out for people to hear. But I had these tunes, that I had written and previously recorded, and I was like, hey, you guys wanna play these tunes? And they're like, yeah, man, bring it in or whatever. So yeah, we started getting together and playing around, some of the East Nashville clubs like Underdog and Five Spot and some of those places, and yeah, and just having fun playing the music we like to play. And yeah, so we're about to put out our debut album in September.
That's exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Yeah, I mean, the guys did fantastic work. It all sounds incredible. But this was part of that recording session. It was back in March of this year. We recorded everything, and this is like separate from the EP, but still part of the whole collective package, I suppose.
All right.
But yeah, hope you guys dig it.
All right. Here's Lumberjack on the Piano Men. All right, we are back on the Piano Men talking with keyboardist and musician Matt Twaddle about his career in the music business. You were talking about moving to Nashville in 2023. First impressions of Nashville, and what do you think of Music City?
Man, everybody associates Nashville with country music, and it is extremely prominent here for sure. But man, I was just really blown away with just how much other stuff there is, other genres, and just, I mean, just the amount of music happening in this city all the time. I mean, it's just like super inspiring, and I that's really what drew me to it, was just just the amount of music, just the ability to go and see live music pretty much every night of the week, and it's all like amazing. I really haven't heard any bad music since I've lived here. I mean, everyone I've heard is just phenomenal, and yeah, I was just, when I had the ability to finally come up here and like get settled, it was like, wow, this is like, it's like a dream come true. It was kind of like something I had been envisioning for a long time, and it still kind of doesn't feel real, or I mean, it's crazy to think I've been here 2 years now. It's like I feel like I just moved here in a way, but yeah, no, Nashville's a really cool community, and everyone's just super friendly in the scene, and just welcoming, supportive of each other. It's like it's how it should be, and I really think that's super valuable.
Do you have any favorite places that you've played around the area so far?
Oh man, I think my favorite place to play is Analog, at the Hutton Hotel. Yeah, I mean that venue, it's, I mean, beautiful room, gorgeous room, and the acoustics in there are just, yeah, phenomenal. It's just like such a cool room to play. I love playing Rudy's Jazz Room too. That's a really cool spot, and I like that they have kind of more of a built-in crowd there too, so it's like, it's almost become more of a tourist attraction in a way, maybe not as much as Broadway, but there's a good amount of tourists that cycle in and out of there, if they're looking for more of like a relaxed, like cocktail sort of atmosphere, and just, yeah, so people from all over the place coming in and hearing jazz music. And yeah, I mean, just some of the people I've met playing there, it's been really, really cool, and just hearing, people's different interpretations of the music and everything. Yeah. So places like that. I mean, and East Nashville, there's plenty of really great venues, like the 5 Spot. There's always really cool music happening there, and the Underdog too. I mean, they're great because they're just catering to a lot of like up and coming musicians, just providing like a space that's like supportive, of like local and up and coming artists, and allowing them to just kind of come in there and do whatever they want to do, and just express themselves. I think that's really great and a good thing for the community and all that. So yeah, sure. I mean, there's other countless venues that I could name like for hours, I feel like.
And you've gotten to teach students as well. Talk to me about that experience.
So I first started teaching when I was in college. I mean, my mom is a music teacher, so it was kind of inevitable. It was like, okay, I guess I should probably teach at some point. And I think it's really important because, especially nowadays with like technology and stuff, I feel like kids nowadays aren't really exposed to music the way that like we were, previous generations were, like our parents and stuff growing up. Like everything is like at your fingertips essentially, but
accessible.
But like knowing what to search for is the hardest part, I feel like. And back when like our parents were, growing up, they had whatever records they had, and that was it. Like they didn't have the internet, they didn't have any of that stuff. So whatever they listened to was whatever they could find at the record store, whatever their parents had, and I feel like coming up, I had a bit more of that. My parents were a little bit older, and I didn't get my first like MP3 player until I was probably like middle school. I think maybe sixth grade. My dad got me an iPod Classic that had his like whole library on it. But like streaming services really didn't become a thing until I was like almost out of high school. So yeah, I don't know. I think teaching wise, I think it's really important to like expose the youth about that kind of stuff. Otherwise they wouldn't be unless their parents are musicians or appreciators of music and show them that stuff.
What has been your favorite part about teaching students?
I think lately I feel like it's really making me kind of look within myself a little bit more, from like a personal standpoint and musical standpoint, and just kind of reevaluating how I look at music and how I approach music, how I approach my instrument, and coming up with creative ways to inspire, younger kids who are kind of just starting to get into it, or even adults, that are like maybe they've wanted to take lessons for a while but never had the opportunity. Yeah, and just kind of learning how to like meet them where they're at on their musical journey, and provide them the tools, and hopefully inspire them to want to pursue it on their own, just kind of like I did when I was coming up, and all other musicians. So
And I think it's cool because you're paying it forward, to the next generation. And
yeah,
so they're
right.
hopefully when they succeed, you're succeeding because you're teaching them how you almost like you were taught.
Yeah,
just as you were taught.
Absolutely, yeah, and just seeing them from like the first lesson when they come in. They've never touched a piano before, and over the course of however many months or years, however long they study, and it's just seeing their growth, and just being like, wow, I remember when you couldn't even play a C major scale, and now look at you, like
Mm-hmm.
like you're learning songs by ear, or your sight reading is great. You can just pick stuff up and just just figure it out. Yeah, it's really cool. From a teaching mentor standpoint, it's really amazing to like see your students grow like that.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel the music business has changed since you started?
Man, I feel like it's changing every day. Honestly, I mean, just thinking back to like some 30 plus years ago, when it was like record labels that ran everything. It's not like that anymore. Everyone's releasing independent music, with streaming services and all that, and you have all these like third parties, for like concert ticket sales, like Ticketmaster and Live Nation. you know yeah, it's a different world, and figuring out how to navigate it sometimes is really really challenging, and sometimes it's just like, man, like I wonder what it's gonna look like in like 20 years, you know what I mean? But that being said, I think there's so many people still that like love music, and want to share music with other people. So I think it will always be there, and in a place like Nashville, Music City, there's just so much music happening all the time, and so many opportunities for stuff. I mean, just upon moving here, I feel like I never would have expected the kind of opportunities that I've had just kind of just come up out of nowhere. Sometimes it feels like, it's just word of mouth type of thing, like one person hears you, they really dig what you do, and then they tell another person, they tell like 10 people or however many, and then people just find out about you, and next thing you know, you're getting all these phone calls and people wanting to work with you, like, hey, you want to do this gig, or like, hey, I want you to be a part of my project. It's just, yeah, it's really cool, and just some of the opportunities that I've been really fortunate to have come my way. It just, yeah, I'm extremely grateful, and um, knowing that still exists, I guess, gives me hope for the future of the industry. And just hoping that people want to continue to share their music with the world, and for people that want to enjoy it, come out and listen and leave inspired, maybe just take a break from their everyday life and whatever struggles they may face along the way. I think yeah, I mean, that's why I play music, really.
Yeah. Well, we got a few minutes before we sign off, but Matt, this has been wonderful.
Yeah,
I want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Where can people find out more about you and all the stuff you're doing? And I know you've got some new music coming out soon, so feel free to plug it.
Absolutely. So I'm on all the socials. You can find me on Instagram, Matt Twaddle Music, TikTok, Facebook. All streaming platforms. I've got music out on everything: Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer. All the main streaming platforms. YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. Check out my band, Mr. Mayo. We're putting out our debut album in September. I'm really excited about that. We have a release show at Rudy's Jazz Room on September 8th. So if you're in town and want to come by, feel free to come out. I think the show starts at, I want to say 7, maybe 7:30. But yeah, we're going to play the whole record. Really proud of the work that all the guys put into this project, and excited to get it out. And yeah, I mean, I'll be around, touring, doing sessions, random stuff around town. So, just keep an eye out. I'll be around.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Stanley. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's going to do it this week here on The Piano Men. You can check us out on our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Piano Men Radio Show. We'll close things out with another selection that our friend Matt has played on. This is East of the Sun and West of the Moon. We'll see you next time.